Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be about running a large language model locally on your machine. Now, there's a few reasons you might want to do something like this. If you're pretty security focused, you don't want to put your data out to everybody, let anybody use it for training and anything like that. This is going to keep everything on your system depending on your settings. Also, you might just not want to pay for a subscription. Maybe you have an awesome computer, you want to experiment. There's lots of reasons you might want to do it, but we're going to run through using Ollama, and that's because they recently had an update where it's going to be an all-in-one package, make it super simple to get started, and you can be running and talking to your own AI on your own machine. For this video, we're going to be focusing on the newest model from ChatGPT that just came out. It's going to be, or I guess OpenAI, it's going to be a GPT 4.0 kind of clone. It's open source. It's going to be here. I think it's by the default that they set up when you try to go into it. I think it depends on your hardware. So we will talk a little bit about your hardware and how that matters. But for now, let's just roll that intro. My name is Connor, and this is where the informal tech reviews live. All right, we're back. The first thing you're going to need to do is head over to ollama.com, download for your device so it supports Mac, Linux, and Windows. I picked the Windows because that's what I'm running, but you're going to download it. It's like 700 megabytes, so it may take a little bit depending on your connection, but before we jump into actual install and setup, I do want to talk about like some hardware limitations for a second. If you're going to be running AI models locally on your device, you need to have some pretty awesome hardware. It doesn't have to be crazy, but I would recommend having like at least 16 gigabytes of RAM because that's going to be like a real small model. Because the model weights are going to be loaded into your RAM or VRAM depending on if you have a GPU or not. And so the better your computer is, the faster it's going to run, the faster it's going to respond. And some of these reasoning models that are out now take a lot of time creating tokens for their reasoning before they actually get to your answer. And so the better your computer, the better it's going to be. Today's setup is going to be in my PC. I recently sold my 5080, and so I'm actually rocking the 3080 Ti still, but we're going to run with that and see how it works. Today's video is going to be focusing on that open source ChatGPT model. I think when I was doing my testing for work, it was like 10 gigabytes. That fits into VRAM, and so that should work on a 3080 Ti, but depending on how much VRAM and RAM you have, that's going to dictate what size model and how many parameters that you can use. And so the more RAM, more VRAM you can use, the bigger model and the better output you're going to get, but you'd be surprised at how many of these small models are pretty capable. Okay, so let's jump over to the website. I already hit the download, so let me go ahead and run that, and we'll just go straight into what the setup looks like. Okay, so my executable has been downloaded and I'm ready to launch it. So you're going to go and hit the button. It's going to pop up. You'll see just your normal window and you're just going to literally click install. Once that runs through, basically it's going to go through and look at your hardware and try to make sure that it installs everything that's going to be able to be used to optimize your inference and get you the fastest, highest tokens per second rate. And so I'm not going to make you watch me install this. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, but we'll come back and talk about what happens after that. Okay, so it looks like it's starting to finish up, getting close to the end. And what's crazy about this is it's almost like a one-step installation. Everything is just ready to go. So you hit the button, you downloaded it, you ran the installer, and you're here. Now you can see I have a window, so I'm going to adjust a little bit so you can see a little better, and then we'll just go straight into it. Okay, so got to adjust a little bit so you can see it. But right here, you can see like on this spot where my mouse cursor is, this is the drop down to show you the model that you want to use. And so there's a list in here of the normal models that your hardware may be able to support. I think these are the most popular models in here, but it's definitely going to depend on your actual hardware, which one you can support. So in my testing, this one was this 20 billion parameter one of the GPT OSS, which is the open source ChatGPT. That was about 10 gigabytes of RAM, so that should fit on my device. And so what's important to know is that these typically will use the most optimized version for your hardware, which I've kind of probably repeated a few times. But what that means in regard to the actual models is typically you're not going to use like the full version of the model. It's most likely going to be a quantized version, which means kind of a smaller, less accurate model that can run better with constrained memory. And so basically once you're to this point, you're ready to go. So right now I can be like, who are you? I'll hit this button and it's going to have to download the model. So the model itself, the model weights are 12.8 gigabytes. And so I guess maybe 10 was incorrect, but basically if you don't have enough space on your GPU, what it'll do is it'll split it between your VRAM and your actual RAM. So you can get the most efficient inference as possible, depending on how much you have. So if you don't have enough VRAM and RAM combined to run the whole model, then it's likely going to be really, really slow or won't run at all. So that's some important things to keep in mind. But while this downloads, I'm going to pause it. We'll come back once it's ready and we'll show you what's going on. Okay, I'm getting close to downloaded, but one note that I did want to make while we're waiting is that if you are someone who likes to tinker with the settings of your devices and your hardware, overclocks do impact inference. So one thing that I've noticed is when you're running inference, the memory speed is super important. And so it's similar to like mining Ethereum used to be, where if you have higher memory rates, you're going to get higher output or higher throughput of your inference. And so setting up your hardware in a way where it's going to use maybe less power, a little less core, maybe you could lock your core clock. Experimenting with stuff like that is going to optimize your inference. But if you don't want to mess with any of those settings and you don't even have any idea what that is, and we're not going to actually go through doing any of that for this video, don't feel bad, because that's totally fine. Even just doing it as is straight out of the box is going to work, and it's going to get it all set up for you. But it looks like we're at 100% downloaded, so here any second it should get it fully installed, extracted, and start responding to my query. Okay, so now you can see it's starting to think. It's not like the fastest, and that's because my computer is really not beefy enough to run this model like super quickly. But we will explore a different model after this one, and we'll check it out. You can see it actually thought for 15.4 seconds, and you can still go back and look at this if you want to, but from there it's going to give you its actual answer. So it says, I'm ChatGPT, a large language model created by OpenAI. And then, yeah, I'm going to pause it, and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, yeah, so that wasn't a super long one, but you can see it's here and it talked about it. Now, if I wanted to do something that's going to use a little bit more like actual information instead of just like, who are you? We can ask it something like, why is the sky blue? And from there, it's going to do its reasoning, it's going to do its thinking, and then it'll actually give me an answer. And one thing you'll notice about this one compared to the one that we'll do next is most likely it's going to be pretty well formatted, it's going to be more accurate, it's going to be more detailed. But the other one that we're going to do is going to be way faster. So I'm going to let it run. Okay, just got done with the thinking portion. It thought for about a minute. And so that's what I was referring to earlier, that it can take quite a while for the reasoning to go through. So if you asked it something like a math question, it's going to go through it and it's going to work out the math problem in its head, and then it's going to give an answer. But you can see it actually gave a short answer here, and then it's going to go into the physics. So I'll come back once that's done. Okay, so it looks like it just finished up, and what I'll say is like this answer is well formatted. It makes sense. It even threw in some like functions for measuring wavelengths and stuff. Like this is an in-depth answer that feels good, but it took a long time. And so if you have limited hardware and you don't want to sit around forever, you might want to switch to a smaller model. And in that case, this one looks like it's the smallest. So Gemma 3, it's about 700 megabytes on the download. I already downloaded it, so you don't have to sit and wait for that. But if I ask it the same question, why is the sky blue? You'll be able to see just how quick this is compared to that. So it's loading up, it's got to switch the model in, and boom. It's crazy fast, but I guarantee this answer is just not as good. And that's like, you know, if you have a ton of memory and ton of information that you need to sort through in your brain before you give an answer versus a little bit of memory and a little bit of training. And so definitely have some different options when it comes to actually utilizing different AIs. And that's awesome to me personally. I mean, you got the sky is the limit, right? And the sky is blue. But basically have something that's an easy task that can get done. You use the smallest model for that task. And if you have something that you really care about accuracy for, you use something bigger. If you have some extra time, you wait around. It's all good. You can use whatever you want. There's also some settings in here that I don't think I went through already, but I'll pull it out if I go through it twice. But check it out. So the airplane mode is kind of what we were talking about when it comes to the security. So this is going to keep all your data local. It's going to disable the turbo mode and the web search, and that's going to keep everything to you. So you're not worried about anybody using your data or going through your stuff. You can also expose Ollama to the network. So it'll run on a port. I think it's like 11,200 or something like that. 11,420 maybe. I don't remember. But you can point different applications to it. So like Klein on VS Code can be like a vibe coding tool that will use your Llama models that you chose. So you can also download different models. If you wanted to bust out the PowerShell and tell it specifically which model to use, you can do that. There's a lot of different things that you can go into, you can do. If you guys want to see some more videos about this, some tips and tricks, things like that, let me know in the comments section. If you like what you saw today, hit that like button, get subscribed so you can see more cool content like this. We have some cool products coming up, and maybe we'll do some more tutorials in the future. But let me know what you think. Is this something you've already used, something you use now? Are you using something better? Definitely open to that. This is for sure one on the more like beginner level, less advanced side, but we appreciate everyone sticking around. And you know, this is what we're here for, checking out cool tech, going through cool things, and appreciate you watching it. Again, my name is Connor. This is Informal Tech, and we'll see you next time. Peace.